Hi there, hun. This is part two. Well, maybe not part two, but another part to one of your gifts. So, I've got a book here, specifically book one of the Bartimaeus trilogy. It's called The Amulet of Samarkand by Jonathan Stroud. And this, in a way, is going to be an audiobook, except I thought, for one, I'd try to give you a video as well. So, part one. Bartimaeus. The temperature of the room dropped fast. Ice formed on the curtains and crusted thickly around the lights in the ceiling. The glowing filaments in each bulb shrank and dimmed, while the candles that sprang from every available surface like a colony of toadstools had their wicks snuffed out. The darkened room filled with a yellowing, choking cloud of brimstone, in which indistinct black shadows writhed and roiled. From far away came the sound of many voices screaming. Pressure was suddenly applied to the door that led to the landing. It bulged inwards, the timbers groaning. Footsteps from invisible feet came pattering across the floorboards, and invisible mouths whispered wicked things from behind the bed and under the desk. The sulfur cloud contracted into a thick column of smoke that vomited forth thin tendrils. They licked the air like tongues before withdrawing. The column hung above the middle of the pentacle, bubbling ever upward against the ceiling like the cloud of an erupting volcano. There was a barely perceptible pause. Then two yellow, staring eyes materialized in the heart of the smoke. Hey, it was his first time I wanted to scare him. And I did, too. The dark-haired boy stood in a pentacle of his own, smaller, filled with different runes, 3 feet away from the main one. He was pale as a corpse, shaking like a dead leaf in a high wind. His teeth rattled in his shivering jaw. Beads of sweat dripped from his brow, turning to ice as they fell through the air. They tinkled with the sound of hailstones on the floor. All well and good, but so what? I mean, he looked about 12 years old. Wide-eyed, hollow-cheeked. There's not that much satisfaction to be had from scaring the pants off a scrawny kid. Note: not everyone agrees with me on this. Some find it a delightful sport. They refine countless ways of tormenting their summoners by means of subtly hideous aberrations. Usually the best you can hope for is to give them nightmares later, but occasionally these stratagems are so successful that the apprentices actually panic and step out of the protective circle. Then all is well, for us. But it is a risky business. Often they are very well trained. Then they grow up and get their revenge. Back to the main text. So I floated and waited, hoping he wasn't going to take too long to get round to the dismissing spell. To keep myself occupied, I made blue flames lick up around the inner edges of the pentacle, as if they were seeking a way to get out and nab him. I'll hokum, of course. I'd already checked, and the seal was drawn well enough. No spelling mistakes anywhere, unfortunately. At last it looked as if the urchin was plucking up the courage to speak. I guessed this by a stammering about his lips that didn't seem to be induced by pure fear alone. I let the blue fire die away to be replaced by a foul smell. The kid spoke very squeakily. I charge you to get on with it. Tell me your name. That's usually how they start, the young ones. Meaningless waffle. He knew, and I knew he knew, my name already. Otherwise, how could he have summoned me in the first place? You need the right words, the right actions, and most of all, the right name. I mean, it's not like hailing a cab. You don't get just anybody when you call. I chose a rich, deep, dark, chocolatey sort of voice, the kind that resounds from everywhere and nowhere, and makes the hair stand up on the back of inexperienced necks. Bartimaeus. I saw the kid give a strangled kind of gulp when he heard the word. Good. But he wasn't entirely stupid. He knew who and what I was. He knew my reputation. After taking a moment to swallow some accumulated phlegm, he spoke again. I charge you again to answer. Are you that Bartimaeus, who in olden times was summoned by the magicians to repair the walls of Prague? What a time waster this kid was. Who else would it be? High up the volume a bit on this one. The ice and the light bulbs cracked like caramelized sugar. Behind the dirty curtains, the window glass shimmered and hummed. The kid rocked back on his heels. I am Bartimaeus. I am Sakir al-Jinni. Negorso the Mighty, and the Serpent of the Silver Plumes. I have rebuilt the walls of Urtuk, Karnak, and Prague. I have spoken with Solomon. I have run with the buffalo fathers of the plains. I have watched over old Zimbabwe till the stones fell and the jackals fed on its people. I am Bartimaeus. I recognize no master. So I charge you in your turn, boy. Who are you to summon me? Impressive stuff, eh? All true as well, which gives it more power. And I wasn't just doing it to sound big. I rather hoped the kid would be blustered by it into telling me his name in return, which would give me something to go on when his back was turned. Footnote. I couldn't do anything while I was in the circle, of course, but later I'll be able to find out who he was, look for weaknesses of character, things in the past I could exploit. They've all got them. You've all got them, I should say. And back. But no luck there. By the constraint of the circle, to the points on the pentacle and the chain of runes, I am your master. You will obey my will. There was something particularly obnoxious about hearing this old shtick coming from a weedy stripling, and in such a foolish high voice, too. I bit back the temptation to give him a piece of my mind and intoned the usual response. Anything to get it over with quickly. What is your will? I admit I was already surprised. Most hero magicians look first and ask questions later. They go window shopping, eyeing up their potential power, but are far too nervous to try it out. You don't often get small ones like this squirt calling up entities like me in the first place, either. The kid cleared his throat. This was the moment. This is what he'd been building up to. He'd been dreaming of this for years, when he should have been lying on his bed and thinking about racing cars or girls. I waited grimly for the pathetic request. What would it be? Levitating some objects was the usual one, or moving it from one side of the room to the other. Perhaps he'd want me to conjure an illusion. That might be fun. There was bound to be a way of misinterpreting his request and upsetting him. Footnote. One magician demanded I show him an image of the love of his life. I rustled up a mirror. I charge you to retrieve the Amulet of Samarkand from the house of Simon Lovelace and bring it to me when I summon you at dawn tomorrow. You what? I charge you to retrieve... Yes, I heard what you said. I didn't mean to sound petulant. It just slipped out, and my sepulchral tone slipped a bit too. Then go! Wait a minute! I felt that queasy sensation in my stomach that you always get when they dismiss you, like someone sucking out your insides through your back. They have to say it 3 times to get rid of you if you're keen on sticking around. Usually you're not, but this time I remained where I was, 2 glowing eyes and an angry fog of boiling smoke. Do you know what you are asking for, boy? I am neither to converse, discuss, nor parley with you, nor engage in any riddles, bets, or games of chance, nor to... I have no wish to converse with a scrawny adolescent, believe you me, so save your rote-learned rubbish. Someone is taking advantage of you. Who is it? Your master, I suppose? A wizened coward hiding behind a boy. I let the smoke recede a little, exposed my outlines for the first time, hovering dimly in the shadows. You are playing with the fire twice over if you seek to rob a true magician by summoning me. Where are we? London? He nodded. Yes, it was London, all right. Some grotty townhouse. I surveyed the room through the chemical fumes. Low ceiling, peeling wallpaper, a single faded print on the wall. It was a somber Dutch landscape. A curious choice for a boy. I'd have expected pop chicks, football players. Most magicians are conformists, even when young. Ah, me. My voice was eminent and wistful. It is a wicked world, and they have taught you very little. I am not afraid of you. I have given you your charge, and I demand you go. The second dismissal. My bowels felt as if they were being passed over by a steamroller. I sensed my form waver, flicker. There was power in this child, though he was very young. It is not me you have to fear. Not now, anyway. Simon Lovelace will come to you himself when he finds his amulet stolen. He will not spare you for your youth. You are bound to do my will. I am. I had to hand it to him. He was determined, and very stupid. His hand moved. I heard the first syllable of the systemic vice. He was about to inflict pain. I went. I didn't bother with any more special effects. And that's chapter 1. I hope you enjoyed.